So at ANU, we did a global GIS search. We found all of the off-river pumped hydro sites around the world, 616,000 of them, with an enormous amount of storage, 23 million gigawatt hours, and all outside national parks and urban areas. And Australia's got 4,000 good sites, mostly along the Great Dividing Range. That's 300 times more than needed to support 100% renewables. So zooming into this atlas into New South Wales, you can see, big surprise, that there's a lot of sites along the Great Dividing Range, all outside national parks. And if you zoom in again to the Bathurst region, you can see there's a whole bunch north of Bathurst. And as you keep zooming in, you can see the dots resolve into upper and lower reservoirs. Upper is light blue, lower is dark blue. You can zoom in even further. This is into the Lithgow area. You can see that there's lots and lots of sites. A red dot indicates a very cost-effective site. A yellow dot is less cost-effective, and there's a factor of 2 in capital cost between a red dot, a deep red dot, and a pale yellow dot. So you can see that south of Lithgow, there's a whole bunch of really good sites. And I just should mention that to stabilise a 100% renewable energy grid, we need about, say, 10 of these spread across the whole of Australia. And there's 10 good ones just south of Lithgow. And certainly they're not all going to be south of Lithgow. In other words, for the whole Lithgow-Bathurst area, you would just choose one. And then for Hume, further south, you might choose another one. Then for the North Coast, you might choose, New South Wales, you might choose another one. And the New South Wales share will be 3 or 4 on top of Snowy 2.0 and existing Tumut 3. And then Victoria will need 3 or 4, Tasmania will need a couple, and so forth. In other words, we have lots and lots and lots of really good sites. We're not short of them. So this is just zooming into a Class A, that's the best class, 500 metre height difference between upper and lower reservoirs, 25 kilometres south of Lithgow. There's just dozens of these sites. You can see several there. You can see the tunnel route between the upper and lower reservoirs, and what you could imagine is that a company would negotiate with the landowner and basically purchase or lease land for the 2 reservoirs to support the pumped hydro. And because the pumped hydro has such value, it's about $1 billion per gigawatt, the company can afford to pay the farmers proper compensation for their land if they choose to release the land to the pumped hydro. So there's a lot of talk about Energy Australia building an off-river pumped hydro above the existing Lake Lyell, and you can see a snapshot from a video. This is a rather expensive scheme because it would not be rock dam fill, it would be a concrete fill, which is like 10 or 50 times more expensive. And in fact, we did a Bluefield survey of Australia, which looks at all of the sites near existing reservoirs, and unfortunately this site doesn't even show up on the preferred Bluefield site, although another one does, but it's classed as Class D. You can see the upper reservoir just over the hills from Lake Lyell, and this is definitely not economically preferred because there's dozens of Class A and B sites in and around Lithgow and Bathurst. So you wouldn't bother doing this, you'd just go to a much better site.